Hey, good day. It's Clayton with HayBoss Feeders here, and my main man Jason Paul's video cameraman, and he's going to be helping me show you guys how to set up a HayBoss standard feeder. So this is the assembly video for a HayBoss standard feeder, round bale feeder. So as you can see, we cut our banding open from the package, so you guys will receive your package, cut the banding open, and we spread out all our panels. So what we had here, I just want you guys to do this, make sure you guys got all your parts and pieces just like we have here. So we got our legs here, 4 legs, 2 1x1s, floor extension rods, and then we got all our hardware here. So we got our eye bolt for our roof, our cotter pin, our safety pin, that's for the roof supports. We got our roof support bar here. Okay, we got our 8 5/16 by 3 1/4 inch bolts. Those are for your floor extensions, and they have flat washers, just 1 flat washer on each, and they come with, you've got to put lock nuts on those too. Then we got our skid bolts. You only need 4 of those. They're 3/8 by 4 inch, and they have a washer on each side, and they have a lock nut to go with those. Then we got our roof bolts. We got 4 3/8 by 1 3/4. And we got 2 3/8 by 3 inch, and they all have flat washers, so those are for your roofs. And then these are your floor to frame bolts. So you got your 16 1/2 inch flare nuts. You can see that they're nice little flare nuts here, and we'll show you the reason for that later. And you got 8 1/2 inch by 2 3/4 bolts, and you got 8 1/2 inch by 3/4 bolts. Okay, and then you got your four frame to floor brackets here. You got your 2 skids, and every feeder comes with a net repair kit. So you'll have your chunk of net, of your size of net that you ordered, hog ring pliers, and a hog ring, and a bunch of hog rings. So, and we'll show you that in another video coming soon. Will be on YouTube. We're going to put a net repair video up pretty soon. So, and also we got the tools required. In our instructions it shows you only need a 3/4 inch wrench, 9/16 and 1/2 inch wrench. But for ease, just because I have it, I got my impact with the sockets, same size as sockets that I just mentioned, 3/4, 9/16 and 1/2. And I got a hammer to pull some nails out, and just a little persuasion if we need it. And I got a line-up bar. That just helps. So, that being said, I think we're ready to get started putting together. Okay, so you can see we laid out our frames. I got my 2 roofs on the table there, and I got my 2 end frames laid out, and my floor standing up on edge. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we got to put 2 of our brackets on. Being that they were galvanized, sometimes the holes have a little excess buildup of zinc from the galvanizing process. So if you did notice that, you just got to ream them out with a little file or even a pin bar. Just make sure that the holes aren't obstructed there. So what you do is grab the bracket, grab some 3/4 inch by 1/2 inch bolts and nuts, and you're going to need your 3/4 inch wrench. And being that the first hole is in there fairly deep, I set this flange nut in my wrench, and then it holds it for me. I just line it up. I line it up like that, and I just start my bolt. So these ones, I'm just going to go hand tight for now. And being that these flange nuts have like teeth on the inside here, you shouldn't have to. Once you get them hand tight, you shouldn't have to hold the nut part when you're tightening. Just go hand tight so that this bracket still moves for you nice and freely for when you put your end frame on. And then do the same to this end. Okay, now we're going to have to flip our floor over and do the same to the other side. Now, you grab your end frame. Don't really matter which one. Put it in place. Now you're going to grab a leg, and your 2 3/4 by 1/2 inch bolts, and 1 leg for each corner. So you'll notice your leg has 3 or 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one far apart facing the other way, and that always goes on the bottom. So when you stick your leg in, stick the top, the one at the end that goes in first is the end of the 4 holes here close together. And this is your height adjustment for your feeder. So what I like to do, I mean, unless you have draft horses or real tall horses that haven't eaten out of a net feeder before, then you'd extend them the full length. Start your horses off as high as your feeder could go, if they're not used to net feeding or if they're draft horses, like tall horses. But other than that, if they're used to feeding, you could go all the way to the shortest position, or you could go one higher. And I like this position. It's my favorite position because it works good for the goats, the sheep, and almost all horses. And it keeps it high enough up that the horses have a hard time pawing, even if they are new to net feeding. They might get a little frustrated at the beginning and tend to paw a little bit. Well, this will keep your feeder high enough that they won't be able to paw at the net easily. So it might deter them from it. So I'm going to set it to the second highest position. And I'm going to put my bolts in. And I'm going to put my nuts on. Okay, so now next thing you do, once you got those 2 brackets on this end started, next thing you do, what I like to do is I'll grab a skid, I'm going to lift up my feeder, and I'm going to slide this skid underneath it. Okay, that'll just lift me up and allow me to get the bottom brackets started. We'll do the same to both sides. We're going to do the bottom same way as we did the top. Set it to the second level, or whatever level you prefer. Okay, so we've got our one side done. Now we're going to get to the bottom on the other side. So you throw in your leg there. Install your bolt. Okay, once all 4 corners are hand tight, what you'll do is, with some help, stand your feeder up. Okay, so now it's time to put our roofs on. So what I'll do is I'll place our roofs, and you'll notice your 2 roofs are a little bit different from each other. One hinges and one doesn't. So we're going to put the one that hinges on first, and how can you tell the difference is your channels have a hole for the eye bolt to go through, and that's where your roof support handle will bolt to. So we're going to, the roof with the holes in the channel goes first. So being that I'm going to do it by myself because my cameraman is busy, you'll see I got these vice grips, so I just throw them there, and I throw a set right here, so that when I lay my roof down, when I place my roof there, it'll hold it while I get my bolts started. So, grab your roof, put it up there. Okay, now for the hinging roof, you're going to need one of your long bolts. It's a 3/8 by 3 inch with a flat washer, and 3/8 by 1 3/4 with a flat washer. So you'll have to come here, line up your bolt. Now I'm going to need to spread my frame out a bit. Okay. And lower that, and make sure your hole is lined up, and start your other bolt. Okay, so now that should hold everything there. For the stationary roof, it has 4 bolts instead of 2, so So I'll just move my vice grips onto this side, and it's pretty much the exact same thing. So we'll get our stationary roof in place. I should grab one more set of vice grips for this side, just because it doesn't have a roof stop on it. Grab your roof. Get her up there. So, the reason I don't tighten the bolts is because I want to be able to slide this one in, and you want it to still be loose enough to slide it. So now this one will need 3 inches 3/4 with flat washers and 1 3-inch with a flat washer. Okay, I think I got them all. Last thing you want to do is cross thread one of these guys. So you want to make certain that you got them started good. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make certain before I tighten them all that they're all good. Here goes nothing. Okay, so you tighten them all up, take your vice grips off, and last thing is hook up your roof lifting bracket. We just decided to turn it so you guys could see the mounting bolts for the roofs. We got one here, we got one back there, and the hinging roof only has one on the inside over here. So you grab your eye bolt, you're going to see there's a 3/8 hole through this roof channel. Grab this eye bolt, stick it through that hole, nylock nut goes on the top, and then just hold your nut with a 1/2-inch wrench, and then turn your eye bolt with whatever. Okay, so now put the short end of your roof support, the short end goes into the eye bolt here. So the short end goes, and the cotter pin goes on that. Okay. So it's a nice little light duty cotter pin. You could do it with pliers if you want, or you could do it by hand. And then when your roof is down, you got a safety pin here. Okay, so once you got your eye bolt in, and your roof support bracket in with your cotter pin on the bottom, safety pin on, cotter pin on the top, safety pin on the bottom. Now you just want to make sure that your roof lifts and lowers. Okay, so when you lift it, you have this position here. And if you're worried about your grapple or something, we also made them now so that you can lift them up to this position as well. So if this was in the field, now you take it out to the field, your next step, put your bale in on end like a paint can. Or fill it with square bales and then wrap your net. So what you would do is, once your bale's in there, you'd wrap one side of the net. Okay, so grab yourself enough slack to come up around the bale and then latch it on this end. Okay? So obviously if you had a bale in there, that would look something like this. So at that point, you'd cut your twines. If it was a round bale, you'd cut your twines, pull your twines off, and then wrap this side. If you're filling your feeder with square bales, you wrap both sides, and then cut your twines, preferably with a pair of scissors, is what I'd recommend. Okay, so do now is lower your roof. Lower your roof, pretend that you have a bale in there. Okay, so, and then I just put my safety pin in so that the animals aren't able to mess with it. And I throw my locks down. So you'll see what your locks do is they allow your net, the horses can pull your net out, but the spring-loaded rollers, I'll give you an example, the spring-loaded rollers will always allow your net to come in, not out. And just before I leave, I just put my locks down, and that just ensures that your bale, if your animals eat all to one side, your bale doesn't fall over. Your horses can't scratch up on it when it's almost empty and push your bale over. It just keeps everything nice and tight. And as they eat the bale, the nets will just roll up on themselves until the bale's empty, and then you have two vertical parallel nets running side by side. And that being said, you could even put your feeder on a fence line if you'd like. So, that's Clayton Jubenville with HayBoss Feeders signing out. And Jason Pauls.
10-4.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your feeder.